Hello.
Hey, this is Nat Newell, Indy Star Colts editor. Here, of course, with Joel A. Erickson for our Colts Cover 2 podcast. Please like and subscribe. If you Even if you don't like what we say, please like and subscribe. We need the support, regardless of how good we are. Obviously, another win for the Colts. An interesting win with the Cardinals, and it's been an interesting week, of which they all seem to be interesting with the Colts these days, which I like. Joel might prefer a little less interesting, but I guess we can get to the one bit of our own breaking news is that this will be my last Wednesday podcast. We have a new Colts writer. We will wait to unveil it completely. So you only get one more. You get one more. This is the only last Wednesday podcast. It's the last First Impressions podcast. Joel won't admit it, but he's very glad I'm off the First Impressions podcast. Dominating the First Impressions competition this year. So we have one more chance on that. But let's get to it. A good question from Sean. But let's start with the biggest news of the week, which is Anthony Richardson going on IR. He is out at least 4 weeks due to the eye injury he suffered. Joel, just give us a quick recap on what we know about the eye injury, and then we'll talk about who the backup quarterback is.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is just it seems like it's a pretty serious orbital. I mean, I think all orbital fractures are probably serious, but you found some from other players where they didn't have to miss much time. This is not one of those. This is he's on IR. That means he misses at least 4 weeks. I think beyond that, another piece of this is just the way Shane Steichen talked about it today. He said, he can't really do much physically right now. He just needs to rest. It sounds like it's pretty serious. I'm not very familiar with orbital fractures, so I don't know. It's just not an injury that happens a lot in football, so I don't have a lot of timetable stuff there. But it does feel like this one could even maybe last a little bit past the 4 week mark, at least from what they're saying so far.
I would think. I mean, your depth perception is tied to how your eyes work together. So if you have an eye, by all accounts, his eye has been swollen shut. There's no damage to the eye, is what they say. But I doubt you can go out there and play quarterback without your depth perception, where maybe you could play linebacker or offensive tackle or something like that. So I would wonder if that's part of it. But clearly, you don't want to be messing around with your eyes. And I would hope in the social media world, I'm sure there's people who are being critical of Anthony Richardson, but I would hope that people would appreciate what he's going through and what he's trying to do and that kind of thing here. With him on IR, I think we talked about this Sunday, and I think we both agreed that they did need to bring in someone other than Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard will be the backup this week. But hey, Colts fans are getting what they wanted. So many fans wanted a relative connected to Peyton Manning to be a quarterback for this team. Now, this probably is what they were thinking, but they brought in Brett Rippon. Brett's uncle, Mark, retired for 3 years and then came back in 2001 to be Peyton Manning's backup. He played through 9 passes and a blowout loss to the Patriots. Appeared in a few other games, but now obviously if you're the Colts, you kind of want Brett to follow Mark's lead and not be needed at all. Every team wants that from their backup quarterback. But what can you tell us about Leonard and Rippon and how things are going to work?
Yeah, I don't know if this is controversial or not. I'm kind of thinking that I would rather have. I think I might just stick with Riley Leonard as the backup. All things considered, I don't know how Leonard is playing in practice. I don't know if he's. This is without knowing if he's like missing checks or when they do quizzes about like what the game plan is if he's struggling with them. I don't know any of that stuff. But Brett Rippon, he's got some experience. He adds a quarterback who has some experience. He just hasn't really played a lot in 3 years, essentially. He didn't really play a lot before that. He's kind of always been a number 3. And I think if your backup is a number 3 mostly, then, why not have your developmental backup be the backup? Because, either way, you're in a bad spot if Daniel Jones goes down. I don't know. I was thinking about it today. They said Leonard's going to be the backup right now because Brett Rippon is not here yet. I mean, I guess we're taping this at 3:30, so maybe he is here now, but he wasn't here in time for practice. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would make that move. I might just leave him on the practice squad as this is the guy who'll be the backup if something happens to Daniel Jones.
I'm going to take the same position on this as I took at the beginning of the season, and that has turned out terrible for me. So everybody should take that into account. But I'm going to say neither should be the backup quarterback because neither of them is probably any good. Now, again, they're among the best football players in the entire world. If you can be a backup quarterback in the NFL, that means you're a really, really good quarterback compared to everyone else. But Brett Rippon has not been good when he's played. Again, that's what he is. Now, maybe Riley Leonard is better than we think. Obviously, we have no way of knowing. We watched the preseason game. Looked fine in the preseason game. Regular season is not preseason, and he's played 2 preseason games or whatever it was. I guess 3 preseason games. But I just, as you say, you're in trouble if Daniel Jones goes down. I think if you could have got Taylor Heineke, I think you would have been feeling okay about maybe being able to split games depending on the opponents. I'm not saying you can't win with one of these guys, especially if you could have one come in. Maybe you can do a few things to keep the defense off balance and it'll work out fine. But yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about backup quarterbacks and. Not only does it not matter because they probably aren't going to be needed, but if they are needed, it still doesn't matter because they're not going to be good. So
yeah, with Heineke, I wonder, is Taylor Heineke waiting for a disaster somewhere? Like, is he waiting for someone to lose their starter for the rest of the season? Because if he is, that would make sense. I mean, the Browns got to that place a couple years ago where Joe Flacco, they had to sign him off the couch to take them to the playoffs, and that's turned into like 4 years of Joe Flacco getting to be in the NFL now. So, and 4 teams, I think, too. But I wonder if Heineke's waiting for that, because to me, he seemed like the obvious option. He has played a lot of football in the last 4 or 5 years, but somebody else would have signed him by now. The Bengals have had quarterback issues.
Yeah,
So I don't know what's going on with him. Like, he's out there, but something is clearly not matching up for him, or he doesn't want to do it this year or something. I don't know. But he was really the only one on the free agent list that struck me as somebody who could actually bring something that was valuable to it. I think you're probably thinking trade, right? In terms of getting somebody better than these two.
You probably have to. I mean, Desmond Ridder is the only one who's got like a glimmer of hope in terms of being something as a backup. And then you get into trades. I mean, who do you want in a trade? Who's out there that's going to be available, and what are you giving up for them?
No clue. Because one of the things about trades at the deadline is often the teams that are trading stuff away are teams that are bad, and teams that are bad are often cycling through quarterbacks. So. Yeah. They need as many as, like, the Jets aren't going to give you Tyrod Taylor because right now everybody in New York wants Tyrod Taylor to start. So you don't want any of the Saints quarterbacks. So you're trying to think of who else is bad.
In Miami, I mean, I guess you might be able to get Tua the way things are going there. I don't know who else would be the other. Let me see who their backup is. I can't imagine.
Is it Skylar?
Oh, Zach Wilson. So there you go. That's who
Zach
you want.
Wilson. Oof.
Baltimore and Cleveland. Cleveland's already recycling through people. Tennessee. I don't know who's Tennessee's backup quarterback. I'm looking at who's Tennessee's backup is, but I mean, if it's the
good
Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen. Who wouldn't want Brandon Allen? Las Vegas. I mean, if you could get Jacoby Brissett, then you got to at least consider that.
Yeah, but I don't think the Cardinals are willing to give up on the season.
No, probably not. And the Giants at one point had like 11 quarterbacks.
That might be the one. Might be Jameis. It might be Jameis Winston.
Yeah, but I would guess that they brought him in because of who he is, and they want him to help Jackson Dart. So you want Russell Wilson at what you're paying him for whatever happens? Probably not.
I don't. No,
Um,
not for the price tag.
I'm not sure I want New Orleans starting quarterback, let alone their backup. We have now exhausted all the. I mean, Houston, but they're not going to give you a quarterback. Like you said, the Jets aren't going to because they might want to use. Although I guess the Jets probably should consider trading Taylor because who cares if you're 2-15 or 0-17? I mean, what difference does that make? Cooper Rush. Do you want Cooper Rush from Baltimore? I don't. I guess he
Over
might be
Brett
more
Rippon.
interesting, but
Over Brett Rippon.
yeah. I mean, but he's got to play now too. So, again, we know there's no good backup. If they're good backup quarterbacks, they'd be starting for the Jets instead of being a backup somewhere else. So,
Well, the other thing is, if you think about it, with the emergency quarterback rule, that means that just about every team starts out with 3 quarterbacks. There's like 90 quarterbacks already signed, and then a bunch of them get hurt, and you sign whoever was left. And we all know it's hard to find 10 good quarterbacks in the league, let alone the 101st one. And that's kind of the spot the Colts are in.
Let's talk a little. Well, I'd say it's positive because we're talking to Daniel Jones, but Sean Zibikowski, one of our regulars, is going very negative here on us. In Daniel Jones' 6 games as a Colt, yards per pass attempt has dropped each game, 9.4 in the first game to 7.1 in the last game. We all know Joel is a big believer in yards per attempt, as anyone should be. It's a good stat. Sean, once again, showing his football knowledge here. What's your reaction to this question?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think it's something that can be a concern. I think teams are cognizant of playing back a little bit. They know that the Colts have manufactured some explosives here. I think in practice, though, the way they're playing, the way they're scoring points, like ultimately beyond everything else, it's scoring points. And I think scoring points is probably the most important thing here. So 31, 40, they're still finding a way to get it done. But yes, I do think that this is it. I have my eye on this, Sean, as something to – you feel like there's going to be something with this offense at some point that makes you go, okay, they're not what we thought they were. And this is one of the things I have my eye on. It just hasn't shown up so much. Last week, I think we talked about this on the First Impressions pod. Some of that is just the Cardinals. Daniel Jones admitted again today, like that was a difficult defense to read. There were some spots in the middle of the game. It felt like they didn't have much going. But I do think this might be another week because the Chargers are very good. All of the Chargers pass numbers are really good. All of the Chargers defense passing numbers are very, very good.
Yeah, I was going to basically repeat what you said, which is that it's not. I mean, something you definitely need to keep an eye on. I would also think, with Jones's reputation coming in, the teams early in the season were probably not worried about him going deep on them, and he burned them. And as long as you're figuring out what puts points on the board, I think you're fine. I mean, but again, it is worth. It's a good, interesting note. It is definitely worth keeping an eye on. I would not be worried until they stop scoring 30 points a game and setting records for points scored. But it is definitely worth noting. And a good transition. Sean doing all the work for us here. To the Chargers. We have a couple other things we want to talk about, but again, give us your further impressions of the Chargers with the game coming up Sunday.
I think the Chargers, it feels like if you're just kind of paying attention, this is where I was when I started the week, that the Chargers are a team that's reeling. They've lost both their running backs. They have, I think what I saw today was that their tackles, Joe Alt and Trey Pipkins, are both out. That Trey Pipkins is already down to their 3rd tackle because they don't have Rashawn Slater. Those guys are out of practice today. They might still play on Sunday, but I think that makes you think of the Chargers as this team that is kind of free-falling, and they almost lost the Dolphins. They lost 2 games before that to the Commanders and the Giants. You could maybe make that case, but the numbers matchup-wise and just some of the other matchups there in this particular matchup just don't feel good for the Colts. Like specifically, to me, I think the biggest one is Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey and maybe Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston had a hamstring last week, so he didn't play. But those 2 top receivers or 3 top receivers versus a Colts secondary that I just don't think is going to have Charvarius Ward this week is bad. Like we've seen this before with Ward on the field where there's 2 good receivers. Yeah, the last time I was in LA when they played the Rams, and it did not go well. And so I think that from an offensive standpoint, that's a big deal.
Yeah, bring us up to date with what the news was today on the injuries. Obviously, Wednesday is not the most important day for injuries, but it is the first chance we get to ask Shane Steichen when he might possibly answer an injury question. So give us the update there.
Kenny Moore practiced today. We saw him practice. He was doing a little bit of teamwork, not like I didn't see him go against a wide receiver. I wouldn't see that. I'm only in there for 20 minutes. So that's part of it. But the fact that he's back on the field is a good sign. I don't think Shane didn't say this, but I wouldn't expect Charvarius Ward to be back this week. He had the concussion. The last time he was in the concussion protocol, he did not play. The concussion protocol generally frowns on people getting 2 concussions in 6 weeks. It's usually not good for your chance to return. So I'm kind of expecting Ward to not play. And then on top of that, Jalen Jones has not been designated to return to practice yet. I think the Chargers had one like that. Khalil Mack has been designated to return to practice, is what Jim Harbaugh. I almost said John. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. Too many Harbaughs. The Colts don't have that with Jalen Jones yet, and I think that's bad because I keep thinking of Jalen Jones as their best chance at that other outside corner spot, but he hasn't been able to get back. So that's kind of where we stand on injuries. This is a corner room that's still pretty depleted. It feels like even if Kenny Moore could play, which I don't know if that's possible or not, they might give him a week of practice before he comes back, that he's not going to be full strength. He's not going to be able to play 100% of the snaps.
Yeah, I did some research a couple of years ago when Anthony Richardson had a concussion, and how many games people generally miss when they have a concussion. And I'm trying to find the numbers, and I'm not going to do it in a speedy fashion here. But it's not that the odds of players do come back without missing a game, but it is very rare. Most players miss at least one game. That's the highest, that's most players miss one game. Some miss 2. Alec Pierce missed 2 earlier this year. He's another one who's had multiple concussions in a relatively short time. And again, I'm not a doctor, let alone, even the doctors don't understand how concussions work always. But you watch that collision that Ward had, and it was bad. I mean, and he was unconscious. Ogletree said that he was asleep. I mean, he was knocked out.
That's not a good sign.
You would think that means that it's less likely that he's going to come back. It's really hard to think that they're going to have Charvarius Ward. And I mean, I just don't know what else you do, because it's just been bad luck. I mean, we can all pick on Chris Ballard. I mean, I've certainly done it. You've done it. I don't really think you can put this one on Ballard. The only thing you can do is say they shouldn't have cut Juju Brents. I kind of said that at the time, but it's also like, who knows? If Juju Brents, if you're counting on him, you're in trouble too, because he's been so injury prone throughout his career. I mean, Jonathan Edwards will play, and he was not good on Sunday. I'd love to see Stephen Gilmore come back, but I don't know that that's going to happen. You mentioned that on Sunday. I just don't think there's any solution. This is just the NFL. Guys get hurt. You'd prefer they not get hurt in pregame warmups, but this is not great timing, not a great situation for the Colts coming into this game.
No, it's the definite weakness, and you're right. There's not really a lot of good options other than Stephon Gilmore. I keep saying with this, we don't know what Stephon Gilmore's situation is. When he asked to get traded away from the Colts after the 2022 season, was that kind of like a, yes, we respect you, but we don't want you back? Is he only going to come back to a team that he feels is like the right spot? I don't know any of that stuff. He generally drives the bus on some of that stuff. So I don't really know where you can go at this point with corner other than just lean on these young guys. Lou Anarumo doesn't want to lean on young guys. He keeps bringing in veterans everywhere else. I think they ran out.
Yeah. You would think Gilmore wanted to go because the season went so poorly and he wanted to play for a winner. He told Ken Bynum, I believe, that it was, hey, go to the Colts, great franchise. I would think if he wanted to play, this would be as good a place to go as any with their record and everything else. But again, he's 35 years old. Maybe he's had enough football. I don't blame anyone for not wanting to collide with other human beings on a regular basis. And I just think you got to hope for the best against the Chargers, and you got to lean into trying to outscore people. But that's what they've been doing. I mean, that's not a problem. And the other thing is, even if they lose this game, at worst they're tied atop the conference with the Jaguars. So I mean, the reason you're in a good position. I keep saying this. No one's predicting this team to go 15-2. So some of those other losses have to come somewhere. And if this is one of those games, I don't think it's a big deal in terms of. I mean, you can afford a loss here, especially if it's a competitive one.
The answer generally, if you've got a corner situation like this one, is that you have to have a pass rush that is so good that it forces the quarterback to get rid of it really fast. They don't have that. I haven't seen it, especially from their defensive ends. I think the defensive tackles have actually been better as a group pass rushing than maybe people realize. Buckner has still been good. He's facing a double team on like every single snap, essentially. But he still leads the team in quarterback hits. Grover Stewart is not a pass rusher, but has made several plays rushing the passer. Adetomiwa Adebawore looks good. They haven't gotten a ton from Neville Gallimore yet, but you've got those guys. You've gotten interior pressure from the tackles. To me, it's the ends. The ends have just not done enough. Like Latu, he had that great game against the Rams. He's got 1 sack this year in 6 games. Taekwon Lewis and Kwity Paye each have 3 sacks, but their pressure rates are under 10%, which isn't great. And Samson Ebukam has 2 sacks, and he's kind of just been a power rusher, though. He's not – they don't have anybody who is blowing people off the ball and forcing the quarterback to get off of his spot right away. It's all been like second effort when the secondary can hold on. That would be the answer with this cornerback spot. And they just – it's the way some teams have beaten the Chargers. Like they played against the Giants. That's a great pass rushing team. They lost the game in part because it's a great pass rushing team. He's taken 5 sacks a couple times with all these tackle injuries. But I just don't think the Colts can do that.
The other thing that was interesting to me, though, is that they did seem to get some pressure on Brissett, but he beat, he still carved him up, as Super Pony says here, that Herbert's going to do, which I think we all agree with, that there's a distinct possibility of that. I would think that the one possibility that it is a better matchup is that if they don't have tackles, that makes it a little bit easier. Latu's advanced stats, I'm usually an advanced stats guy, are really good, or at least good, and I just haven't seen it on the field. Again, I'm no scout, so I don't want to say that he's not. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like the pass rush has been good enough, and I don't know. I mean, much like the cornerbacks, I don't know what the route to it is there. If you're going to make a trade, I would think that's where I would make the trade. It is a little odd. You've invested a ton at defensive end, and it means you're probably, if you get Bradley Chubb, to pick a name out of the speculation, he's going to play, and who's not going to play, and it's going to be someone who you were counting, who came into the year counting on. So that complicates it a little bit, but I don't care about that. I got to get a guy who can get to the quarterback some. Chubb's was great as a rookie. He's been really inconsistent since then. He's had some injury issues. Also, if the Colts had not traded the Sam Darnold pick, they probably would have taken Chubb with the 3rd overall pick that year. Ahead of Quentin Nelson. Maybe they would have taken Quentin Nelson anyway. But I mean, let's get into a little trade deadline speculation. Is there anything what do you think they need the most? Because we all know how much Chris Ballard loves to wheel and deal at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I know he operated differently this offseason. I still don't know that I'm expecting something this year, but a defensive end or corner, like one of those 2 spots we're talking about, seem like the right spots. Super Pony says Jalen Phillips. I'm fine with that.
Name.
I'm fine with that. They need more players who can win right away and aren't second effort rushers. Like I've said this a lot of times. Kwity Paye is a useful player in your starting lineup because he can stop the run and he's never going to stop on a rush, and he's going to end up with like 6 to 8 sacks every year on second effort rushes. He still isn't like, it's fine that he cleans stuff up. He doesn't do the important part, which is get there right away and force the quarterback to hitch or move or miss receivers that he would otherwise have. Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Somebody suggested. I saw USA Today suggested Carl Granderson. He's good. I don't think the Bengals are trading Hendrickson, but I don't know that. I I think especially I think the other thing is that sticks out to me about the trade deadline is, this is the trade deadline. Jalen Phillips only has 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits this year. I wonder if he's having trouble coming off the injury. I do think that defensive end is an easier place to trade because you can kind of just plug them and play them, and you don't have to worry about, so much scheme stuff like you do with some of the other positions. I always feel like wide receivers end up being underwhelming because they have to learn the offense and the quarterback. Defensive end is kind of different than that, especially if they're a pass rusher. But yeah, I think you could make a move there. That it's hard for me to expect Ballard to make a move there, though, considering that trading Nyheim Hines away at Nyheim Hines' own request is really the only move he's ever made at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, and Phillips, as you noted, 1 sack this year. He had 1 sack last year when he only played. How many games did he play? He played 4 games last year. He had 6.5 in 8 games the year before that, and then
very productive before that.
Yeah. He was very productive until whatever happened in 2023. So I would be worried. Number one, you can probably get him fairly cheap, but I would be concerned that he's the answer. But again, the Colts will know more than we would about looking at him and scouting him. Maybe perhaps Super Pony knows more than we do too about how much potential Phillips has in him.
I have watched exactly 1 Dolphins game.
Yes, and I don't remember Jalen Phillips playing. I don't remember him from that game, but you never know. So, how about Rick Woolen? You like him?
Tariq Woolen?
Yeah, Reek Woolen. Excuse me. I'm going to look him up and pretend I know who he is. Hold on.
He's a Seahawk.
Yeah, he would be a cornerback. Another one who had 6 interceptions as a rookie and, got some awards as a rookie.
But
2 interceptions as a second year, 3 before that. So, I mean, again, interceptions are far from everything. So I do not know enough about him.
Why would the Seahawks trade away a player?
And that's a good point, unless he wasn't
They're
very
good.
And they're going to see the Colts this year too.
I mean, the other thing, I don't know why would you trade if a playoff team is trading away a corner? Is that really going to help?
L'Jarius Sneed, you want to bring him back up?
The L'Jarius Sneed piece of it, I don't think he's playing all that well either. And also, he comes with a very high price tag monetarily for what I don't think is the greatest type of play. I also don't think the Titans would trade him to the Colts. They might trade him somewhere else. I don't think they trade him to the Colts.
If I was the Titans, I would probably trade him to the Colts. What do I care? I'm not going anywhere. So
yeah, but that's logical and rational, and the Titans seem to be completely governed by vibes.
Yes, yeah.
That is not a long-term plan type of place right now.
All right, we got a couple other questions here that we'll hit. Rambo25, who is our biggest fan. I'm only skipping you now because Sean asked a more pertinent question to what we're discussing, but we will definitely get to Rambo's question. Trey Hendrickson, considering the Bengals and Colts situation. Also, the first they would have to give up would be easier since they don't need a quarterback and it'll be lower round. So excellent point again by Sean. You mentioned Hendrickson. You had no idea if they would trade him or not.
The Colts have been interested, but they're interested at a non exploitative price.
Right. But would you give up a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson? If I was the Bengals, I'd have to think long and hard about that. If you're the Colts, would you give it up?
How long is he signed for?
I thought it was 3 years, which means it's probably 2 years.
Maybe. Probably not.
I would have to think long and hard about that if I was the Colts.
Probably not because he's 31. And if he's signed for 3 more years, then I'm stuck with an aging player.
At a fairly hefty price, too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's 1-year contract, $29 million.
Oh, then fine, go for it. I don't know about a first round pick, but for 1 year, I don't know about a first round pick. But yeah, just go get him.
But maybe a second round pick, or something like that. I would have a hard time turning that down. I am like way more aggressive than Chris Ballard.
Everyone is way more aggressive.
Yeah, there are sloths that are way more aggressive than Chris Ballard. So, and then we got Super Pony noting that Hendrickson, I believe, talking about. Oh, he said, I bet he's going back to Reek Woolen being available. That he could be available. So
again, if he's available at the deadline, how bad is he playing? If a team is trying to trade him away from a playoff team, how bad is he playing? That's my question.
And then it gets into what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up a 4th round pick? Is that would Seattle take that? Maybe I do that. Maybe I do a 5th round pick. I'd have to watch him and see what he was about. So let us get to Rambo's question here. DJ Giddens owes you big time. You asked Shane Steichen about his playing time. And the next morning, the Colts put Amir Abdullah on the practice squad. As much as Joel deserves credit, I think Abdullah's been on the practice squad the whole time, and they just activate him for games, which they can do 3 times, which means they can do it once more. And then we will see if what they have. Then they have to make a decision on Abdullah, I believe. But Joel knows the rules better than me. What's your reaction? I mean, what did you learn about the Abdullah versus Giddens conversation? I believe at Rambo's request, you asked Steichen about it, although we had also talked about it. So.
I think that Shane Steichen really likes Amir Abdullah. He didn't say that specifically the other day, but that's just the kind of the vibe I got is they really like it. But the other thing that tells me that is that they gave him 2 touches on Sunday and they didn't give DJ Giddens any, even though they both played. They're not going to get rid of DJ Giddens. I think the question becomes what happens with Tyler Goodson. If it's Tyler Goodson, like, do you keep 4 running backs at that point? Because that's the other thing is that Abdullah and Goodson both play special teams. So in theory, you could keep 4 running backs if you got rid of maybe a linebacker. They're not getting. This is a very random. So we joked about how I'm the beat writer who pays attention to special teams. You know what I noticed today? Remember they claimed Buddy Johnson from the Cowboys or something a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. Who could forget?
We all wondered, why is he here? I can tell you why he's here. He made 3 special teams tackles on Sunday. His first game out the box, 3 special teams tackles. So, is there another linebacker that they could get rid of? Is there Trey Washington? Could he go back to the practice squad if you're going to keep 4 running backs? I don't know. It depends on Tyler Goodson and Amir Abdullah's special teams capabilities.
Yeah, that does seem odd that you would go with Abdullah, who's 32, and I mean, as a former Amir Abdullah fantasy football owner, I had him when he was 24, and I wasn't too happy with him. But he has averaged a decent number of yards per rush the last couple of years when he was in Vegas. So,
and is he more ready to do the passing game stuff, the blocking and the catching than is?
Then getting that. I mean, that's a legitimate question. But the nice thing here is we'll find out because, he's been up for 2 games or 3 games.
He's been up 2 games in a row.
So he'll be up for a 3rd game this week, and then they got to make a decision about him. So then we'll find out exactly what they think.
And people sometimes wonder why they don't do that. There's just no point in doing it until you absolutely have to, because you don't know who's going to get hurt.
Right.
There was no way to know going into last week that they all of a sudden would need a backup quarterback. And that has opened a spot on the 53-man roster because Brett Rippon is on the practice squad. He's not on the 53-man roster. So
would you and you could activate Leonard because him being the emergency quarterback doesn't count, correct?
What do you mean activate him?
Well, you would have 3. You could keep Rippon and Leonard on the practice squad, not on the active roster for.
No, Leonard's on the active.
Oh, roster. Leonard's on the active roster. Yeah, you're right. He's just a healthy scratch.
Because I don't think that you can have an emergency quarterback who's not on the active roster.
Right. You're right.
You're right. Your practice squad guys.
As I said, Joel knows the rules better than me, as he should, because it's his job, and only my job to ask him what the rules are. But we got another one here from Super Pony. Brian Burns is available. I would think he's
Sure.
Yeah, is he available? I don't know why he would be.
I love Brian Burns.
But again, that's another one that I would be willing to give up a high round pick for someone like that.
I'd be more willing to give up a high round pick for Brian Burns because Brian Burns is 27.
And 7 sacks in 6 games so far this year.
Yeah.
I think the Giants think they're competitors, though, so I would be shocked. And again, Super Pony has pointed this out that it's highly unlikely that they would that they would do that. But
yeah, I would take
it would be a
Brian
no-brainer.
Sure. Would you like Samson Ebicom in return or in addition to a pick?
I would think it'd have to be a first-round pick for Brian Burns. But again, I don't know why. I don't think the Giants would do that. Maybe it has to be more than a first-round pick, and I don't know what else. I'm not giving up. I don't think I'm giving up 2 first-round picks.
You can make a pretty good case that Brian Burns is having the best season of his NFL career so far. Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yep. So, all right, well, there we got it. Thanks, Super Pony. The Colts will trade for Brian Burns.
I wanted them to get Brian Burns a couple years ago. I think I wanted him in the draft.
All right. Anything else we need to touch on? It looks like they just put, as we were talking here, did they put the great Josh Downs? Did he not practice today?
Downs?
Yep.
If he had a injury,
he has a concussion and he is a DNP.
That's bad.
So that's another wide receiver down. I guess that's worth touching base on. It's certainly, as we said, if he's got concussion symptoms, it means he's probably not going to play this week.
Yeah, that's not good. We were not aware of that.
So we've got Warren, we've got Pierce, we've got Pittman, and you're probably getting Mitchell back on the field at that point. Or maybe, I mean, Doolin's got a chest injury. It's Wednesday. We have no idea what the deal is on him.
Doolin was walking around practice, like right at the start. Doolin was walking around practice right at the start, so I think that it's always hard to tell, but I think he's more likely to be one of these, like he's just getting a rest day. Downs with the concussion, that's a significant injury.
Yeah, that was the only real news there.
They have Anthony Gold to play the slot, but also Anthony Gold's he's just not Josh Downs.
No. I think you're okay. I mean, obviously he's not good. And we've got good points here from Super Pony. Rambo, you got to pick up your game if you want to maintain your top spot among the friends of the show here. But and then that's
the one the one that made me laugh. 80
yeah. But I mean, you've got 3 major targets. Obviously, you need another receiver out there. But is it Doolin? Is it Mitchell? Is it Gould? So
hear me out. Will Mallory.
Is he still on the team?
He is on the team. Will Mallory is on the team. He has played 5 offensive snaps this year. The reason he is not up on game day is that those other 2 tight end spots are essentially just blocking spots because Tyler Warren is so good. I will say this is real quick as an aside. We can come back to it after we're done talking about this Josh Downs situation. The Chargers are very, very good against tight ends. They're 5th in the league in both catches and yards given up against tight ends. That's got to be a Derwin James stat. So that this might be the most interesting Tyler Warren game so far. Do the Chargers just put James on Warren? Like all of the stuff that they do to get Warren open is the kind of stuff that they could match because James also lines up all over the field. Very interesting matchup. Anyway, Will Mallory is a guy they trust as a receiver. They don't have a spot for him when Tyler Warren's out there. Do you have a spot for him in the offense if Josh Downs is not there? They've played A.D. Mitchell there in the slot before. It did not go well. It was the first 2 games last year when
Downs was out because he got hurt in the practice.
Because Nick Cross hurt him. So it did not go well. I don't think it matches Mitchell's strengths very well because a lot of those routes that Downs runs have to be adjusted due to coverage pre-snap and post-snap. I don't think that's A.D. Mitchell's strength. But Will Mallory, maybe you go heavy tight end and kind of use Mallory as the Downs player. I don't know.
And if James is the one shutting down tight ends, you're going to have him on Warren, as you noted, and maybe that frees up Mallory. Again,
Maybe it gets Mallory on a linebacker. I mean, he can win matchups against linebackers.
All right. Well, we will end the podcast right there. We appreciate everybody joining us. We appreciate all of our Sean Zipkowski. I'm going to say it fast because I don't know how to pronounce it. Rambo, of course. And
you should know how to say that, right?
What's that?
Notre Dame legend Tom Zibikowski should have taught you how to pronounce that.
I guess so. Zibikowski is what it's got to be. So
that's what
we're going to go with that until Sean corrects us otherwise. Again, this will be my last podcast, likely for as we bring on a new writer. I will always enjoy the interactions, always enjoy bantering with Joel as well. I will be doing Pacers podcast, so you can see me banter with Dustin Dopirak there. We have not done one yet this year, just because it's been so crazy for us, but we will with the season coming up. Again, like and subscribe. Go to IndyStar.com for everything Joel writes. We'll have a new person helping out there, and thank you for joining us.